Hi, everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful time tonight. I certainly have had a lot of fun listening to our interdimensional visitors. They've been very busy for 2 days. So the format tonight, let's just say anything goes. All right. I'm so sure they're going to show up, but they've already done a lot of talking already. So thank you, those of you who are coming back again. I appreciate it, and it's fun to share with all of you. And thank you to our newcomers, a very warm welcome. But let's get started. Yes, and also I have Roxy back again, and Roxy, as you know, is the technical whiz. And so if you have a comment or a question, send it to her. It's easy, right, Roxy?
On the chat.
She's checking. All right, but that's the point. Now, let's get started. We have quite a few questions, so I don't want to take up the whole evening with them, and I'm sure you don't want me to either. So here goes. Thank you all who did send in questions. You know, I just love it. And thank you all for those of you who wrote and said, keep it to an hour or to an hour and a half. This evening may be a push to keep it to an hour and a half, but I'll talk super fast, okay? So the first question we had, and as you remember last month, there was a talk on relationships and love and sex. And so there were several questions about the comments or about the point of view that D5 shared with us. So the first one was, I felt D5 was being very sexist, biased. He did not discuss gay sex. He kept it just to heterosexual sex. So what about gay sex and what he had to say? What does he think about that? Did he have anything to say? So I checked in. D5, you know, he does not like to be questioned, but anyway, he'll get over it. As he explained it, when he was talking about sex and intercourse and climax and the rhythm of sex and the interaction, he was talking about the male-female roles. He was not just talking men, women. It was about the roles. And in every sexual act, there is a masculine and feminine role. So he didn't feel he was being sexist. He was get used to it, you know. Sex, he considers the highest form of communication between two people because it encompasses physical, mental, emotional levels of your being. So it's very important, especially in these times, that there be no passive person in the act. Okay? The roles are no longer passive. There's interaction where the man takes the lead, or then the woman has her role to respond and activate and let him go into the feminine passive receptive modality. This happens in gay sex. This happens in heterosexual sex. So let's give D5 a pass on being a sexist. Okay. The second question was, in your opinion, which I guess is me, does the use of condoms in any way reduce the receipt of toxic energy during sex? This is for the naughty ones who will continue to play meaningless, careless sex from time to time. That's the question. Now, yes, this is a really good question, actually, because yes, condoms will reduce the actual physical energy exchange. So the, shall we say, length of life of the man's semen doesn't hang around in the body as long. But sex is more than just physical release, although sacred sex is more. Getting your rocks off, you're fine. But in sacred sex, where there's actual emotion and feeling and a yearning to express oneself with another person in this intimate way, it's the energy that counts. So even though the man may be wearing a condom, um, you're still going to get a certain amount of his energy simply because you're moving back and forth with each other. You have feelings, you have thoughts, you have a physical response. So, on that level, condoms don't do any good. But in general, the physical, the staying power of the man's consciousness is greatly diminished when he uses a condom. Okay? All right, good. Now let's see what else. And then, do you have any tips for energy cleansing if you feel you've been with a partner that is whose energy is perhaps negative? Okay. Um, and does it also apply to, sadly, victims of rape or incest? Okay, so I'll take the first part first. Um, yeah, there's several things you can do to clear yourself of the energy. Okay. One, of course, is before you get into bed and get engaged, um, just put a veil around yourself or a cocoon. Put a light around yourself. Now, in fairness to you, this is going to diminish your climax. But on the other hand, you're not going to take on the male energy. There is always the good old fashioned vinegar douche. It's very good for clearing out the energy fast. Um, it's a nuisance. Most of us don't like doing it, but it's effective. So take your choice. Um, the other thing you can do, which is kind of difficult, because let's face it, once we're in the sack and once we're going and things are moving organically, let's put it that way, and you're about to climax, if you can just put up a white light in front of you, especially around the pelvic area, you can diminish the masculine energy if you feel it's toxic. However, let's be real. That's about the last thing you want to do when you're about to hit high C, right? But if you think of it, do it. Okay? For rape or incest victims, this is very, very painful because the experience of being violated, of the invasive, aggressive energy is so overpowering that it's very difficult for anyone to stay in neutral or stay calm. You know, I so it's a question of detaching from the body, which a lot of people do. They go out of their body and stay out. And if you can think to do it, it will happen automatically if you were to command it. But we just aren't educated to these kinds of situations. No one talks about rape and incest and what you can do to protect yourself. But if you can go dead or neutral, just become a heavy weight within yourself. You can stop the trauma. Oh, I would say by about 1,000%. Okay. So it is a technique, but it's not widely known, and you can just keep it under your hat and help somebody someday. Okay. Um, let's see. Any more guidance on bringing the heart into the sexual act? Obviously, we must feel safe in order to be with a sexual partner, lover. So, what if someone doesn't feel or experience love during sex? I know there's a difference between sex and love. So, how about foreplay? It's during foreplay that we usually can release the let's call it the love of the heart enzymes. And it's in that period that you can bring love into the sexual experience itself when the man enters or penetrates you. But it has to be practiced. Um, and if you do have genuine loving feelings towards someone, but maybe you're not in a good mood that night, or maybe something's off, what I suggest to you in order to keep this balance within yourself so you don't misalign and move into the other energy, the partner's energy, is remember some good times. Remember what you cherished or loved about the person at one time, but remember a fun, happy time with the person, or remember a kindness that she um, offered you or did for you. This will just neutralize what's ever going on in the way of, let's just call it negative or unreceptive or lack of interest. Okay? It does happen. So just remember sex, heart, love is all a very organic process. So, you know, focus on what you love. I mean, if you can't remember anything or you don't have a history with the person the first time, wow, picture what you do love to energize your own body to participate and activate it into raising its vibration. Okay, because sex is a wonderful way to raise our vibration. So let's not knock it, but it can be a challenge. So, what else? I can't figure out my next step. I'm bored, restless, nothing appeals to me. Do you have any ideas? Well, basically, that's what the talk is like about tonight. So stay tuned. Okay. Okay. Manic love. What is it? What causes it? And perhaps for those of you who returning, you remember we had the 8 types of love. I recounted them last time. And manic love was the last one. Manic love is considered obsessive love, where you're just obsessed with the person, with having the person, with being with the person has taken over your life. And what usually causes this is that there has been a deep emotional wound or disappointment early in your life with the opposite sex. Okay. And this person represents the energy of that person who was, you couldn't get their attention, you couldn't get their love. It usually strikes us in our with our underminer. And for those of you who've taken the power empowerment program, you know it's the unwanted, unloved, the undone issue emotionally. Usually that is what triggers manic love. It's the need to control, the need to have, and to need to feel powerful by drawing a person in. Does that make sense? Okay. So it's a the person is out of control. The person is more miserable than anybody else because it's hard when we fixate on something and we have a tendency to fixate on what we can't have. Um, it's very hard to heal this wound. It does require you to go back into childhood, go back into the disappointing, let's just say the disappointing caregiver, because it doesn't necessarily have to be your parent. It can be your nanny or a teacher or someone whose job it was and responsibility it was to cherish you, and they didn't. Okay? So the next question, and anyone want me to go over the 8 types of love? Is that no? We got it. I see. I have 3 people here tonight, so I have a rousing audience, and it's fun to check in with you all. All right, so we'll skip the 8 types of love. If you're interested, email me. Okay. I had a question where someone was listening to one of the internet, you know, webinars. There's a million webinars and videos going on and on about the times, about the virus, about the political situation. We're inundated with information. But the one she was asking me about, she asked me my opinion on a woman who said that the COVID virus was from the fifth dimension. And what did I think about that? Well, that's a pretty good question. My initial response to it was it's not from the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension doesn't operate in a fear based cultural way. Okay. And I still stick to that. However, guess who started nattering at me later in the day and said, no, but it was set up as part of the humanity's evolutionary process. So this is part of the evolutionary step. And if you remember my letter on COVID last April, where it just talked about COVID and it being a fear-based virus, it was sent. It may have been sent from the fifth dimension in order to start the clearinghouse for people who are really fear-based, deeply fear-based, because it is the fear that is the magnet for the COVID, for the virus. Now, you all know I have a very different tact on COVID. So I'm going to explain it because I was asked to, but also in keeping with this. So do I think the virus was developed in the fifth dimension? No, but I think it was encouraged and it was approved of because there are councils in these other dimensions that are working with us to accelerate, to make sure we make this quantum leap from the third to fourth dimension or into the Aquarian age, however you want to put it. There's a huge shift coming. So the higher ups, so to speak, are overseeing this. And COVID, it was deemed necessary for humanity in order for them, all of us, to really come to terms with the fact, accept or reject, that we co-create our reality. You co-create your experience in life. And if it's based in fear, guess what you're going to co-create? Fearful experiences. And COVID just happens to be one of them. So I'm not in total agreement. For some reason, right or wrong, I don't know where I'm at now. I'm going to tell you, I don't think it was developed in the fifth dimension, but I think the overseers of Earth said, unfortunately, this has to be experienced because too many people are into fear, into doubt. Too many people feel helpless. They are denying that God self, that creative, loving self in them. And they have got to learn that they create what they believe, what their perception tells them. Okay? So that's my answer. I'm sort of roundabout, but for all D5's talk, I'm still not convinced. All right? I just don't think the dimensions get involved with the humanity's experience that way. Now they could, because we're moving into a new dimension and a new time. So I'll reserve judgment. So if you quote me, date me, but I may change my mind. But I can see why the councils would approve it, but I don't think it was generated in the fifth dimension. Okay? And it's for our evolution. It's for our highest and best good. And that was quite one to swallow. Maybe some of you are having a tough time swallowing that one too. Okay, the last question was COVID and vaccines. You don't talk much about them. What's your position? Is it right, wrong, good, or bad? Well, here goes. I have talked about it what did I think it was? Maybe last June or July last summer. But I don't see the point is I don't give COVID a lot of time or energy. I think it's a factor in our life. Okay. But I don't get up in the morning and tune in to see what's happening in the world with COVID or with vaccines. I don't make it part of my life. And basically, that's because I am a terrain theorist. My belong to the new school of bioscience, which is terrain theory. The old format of bioscience was germ theory, developed by Louis Pasteur, that germs are all around in the air and they can attack you, and then you get sick. And I told you about my experience growing up with my brother and having to sit at the foot of the bed and read stories and play checkers and chess and God knows what else. When he had measles, when he had mumps, when he had chicken pox, when he had German measles. I never got any of it. So to me, they're telling me that there's germs in the air or you're sick. I say, I'm sorry you're sick, but I don't have time for it. I don't pick it up. I consciously reject the invitation. Second theory is terrain theory says that it's really stress that creates disease, illness, depression, despair. And stress is an internal environmental factor. So if you're in high stress about something, your system, your immune system, your hormones, your metabolism, everything about your body is distressed and has lower energy, lower vitality, which makes you vulnerable to illness, whether it's COVID, I don't really care, cancer, cold. It's your responsibility. Remember, we're co-creators. You assume responsibility to create your experience in life. You've got it. I've got it. It comes with your sojourn, so to speak. We're in it, guys. And the point is, we are creating with source or universal energy or God, whatever your label is, to experience life, to learn, grow, evolve, and contribute. Now, I ask you, if you happen to believe this, then why would you suddenly become helpless in face of some invisible bug flying around in the air that's going to do you in? It can't unless you give consent. So a lot of stress is based in helplessness or a feeling of helpless or a feeling of hopelessness about something that can trigger the activation of that bug or germ or condition in you. And so if it's out here and in here and the inside is weak, you've got connection and you've got a condition that requires medical treatment. That's where I stand. I don't happen to feel I'm in that space. Now, as to vaccines, I don't have a lot of love for vaccines, all right? I think I got the smallpox shot when I was a kid, and I got smallpox. I was deathly ill for about 5 or 6 days. And it was interesting because the doctor said to my parents, well, she must have had smallpox in another life. Now, you have to remember, it was way back in the dark ages, okay? When reincarnation was not table conversation. It wasn't even in the dictionary. So there he sat, good old Dr. Sheehy, I always remember him, and saying, she will never get sick again. She has immunity now. And I didn't know what he was talking about, and either did my parents. But I recovered from smallpox, and I've only been vaccinated with, I had to be vaccinated from malaria or whatever it was when I went to Africa. but I've never been vaccinated. And maybe I had a tetanus shot or forgot those a couple of times, but I've never been vaccinated since, and I don't have flu shots. I just happen to believe they don't resonate here for me. My body goes into rejection. And I check my body when it comes to vaccines, and especially these. And I just haven't had a go for it kind of response from my body. So I'm not going for the vaccine. Um, I think it's a personal choice we all have to make. My entire family has been vaccinated. They're hoopty doing it and thinking it's the best thing that's happened to them. And Godspeed. And every once in a while, they try and talk me into it. And every once in a while, I say, not yet. Uh, I may have to make a decision if it cramps my lifestyle, which, as you know, is traveling. But I think it's a personal choice to make. I don't think it's my role to advise you one way or another. If vaccine resonates for you, if you feel safer, less fearful, more comfortable in yourself taking a vaccine, go for it. If you feel, no, I'm not ready yet, I can't do it, don't do it yet. You are capable of taking care of yourself. And in truth, no one takes care of you better. Okay? So, do we have any other questions? No questions, no comments. Okay. All right. So, first thing I want to do is sort of give you a review again of this month. Now, I know many of you have received the insight letter for April. I know many of you already read it. I know some of you haven't gotten to it yet. And it's important because April is such a beautiful, dynamic opening month. It is incredible the energy we have to work with in the universe or the universal field this month. And I want you all to be aware of it because it's a dynamic energy. We have 5 planets in Aries. We have 3, what I call minor planets, but they're really the far out planets in Aries. And we have Chiron sitting there too. So I'm using astrology and numerology as the first way in wayfinding. Now, you know, the letter was a lot about wayfinding, which is another way of saying find your way or navigate, um, which means we need a system of information to move into the energy and align with the energy that's now present. Well, we've got a double dip in April, which is why it's so important you stay aware and conscious of what's going on in you and how you're feeling and what you're doing with your life. The first energy we have is, of course, the fact that the spring equinox this year, which was March 21st, I think, this is the first new moon. And the spring equinox this year was so exceptional and mind-blowing because it was let's call it the cosmic grand opening for the Aquarian age. The Aquarian age is now in place. It's solid, it's stable. Bye-bye to the fish and the Piscean age, all right? Now, Aquarius is a masculine energetic planet. And it's considered masculine because even though it's humanitarian, it's very freedom loving, into liberation, it's totally into truth seeking. It's about community, it's about love and probably, not personal love as so much as just love of humanity and people and being together. So it's a step up from the personal one-on-one love that we've all focused on. Aquarian's age asks us to have a broader platform when it comes to love. Now, you'll remember there are 2 aspects of love. Love is the human emotion, but love is the source energy of all life that unites and connects us all. So we've got a lot to juggle here. We've moved into the Aquarian age, and the new moon is what? It's always about new beginnings, fresh starts. And it's in Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac, which is always about a new beginning, a new cycle, new opportunities. So everything's about new, new, new. And of course, it is new because the Aquarian age and the fourth dimension, the consciousness of unity, the consciousness of connection, collaboration, the mindset of trust, love, and a belief in abundance are all now active. They're alive and well, people. So April is saying to us, move into that shift in your consciousness. You've got the time and energy to take good stock of where you are with yourself, where you are in the world, how you fit or don't fit, what you want to change, what you don't want to change. This is a huge month because everything is saying, see it, do it, have it, but do it from the heart. Okay? So this is big time stuff. This is the first full fourth dimensional month we've had. And it'll be lots of stop and starts this month, okay, with it, because it'll be 2 steps forward and let me think about this, and then 2 steps back. So instead of this month seeing your issues, any delays, any irritations as something wrong or bad, that's judging, remember, and you know how I feel about that. See it as a reward. See this month as a reward, no matter what you have to deal with, whether it's positive or reactive or negative. It's a reward. It's a gift to you, showing you this is what you still may need to tweak. This is what you may need to develop more of, but this is what you need to do with yourself or for yourself. Be aware of this energy, because basically in Aries and Aquarius, that is the higher mind. Okay, let's just call it higher mind. And the battle this month is between your higher mind and your egoic mind. Okay, and ego is very third dimensional. Ego is very survival oriented. Ego is very outer directed, looking outside yourself to feel good, to validate yourself, to define yourself. All that's part of third dimension, which is a done deal. If you get nothing else this month, get over the third dimensional power code. It's old format. So here are the questions I'll ask you for you to ask yourself. At the end of the month, I want you to ask yourself, are you feeling more or less peaceful within yourself? So are you at greater peace? Do you have a greater sense of calmness and well-being and joy within yourself? Are you happier with yourself and who you are? Are you more or less physically energetic? How's your body doing? Because remember, the body takes the hit last when you make a shift in changing your mind or changing how you approach things or changing your concept of who you are. Perception is everything. So where is your perception based? Is it based in the good or is it based in the miserable? Are you into creating romance and dramas and comedies? Or are you into tragedy, deceit, deception, betrayal? These that we all must, not just you, me too, get in touch with who we are, the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly. And your shadow mind is going to keep popping up out of the blue. And you're going to say, oh, I thought I'd solve that, or go away. No, accept it. Say, oh, I had to deal with an issue I had with jealousy these last few days, and I had no idea I had jealousy routing around in my subconscious. And there it loomed its big, bad, beautiful head. And I had to face it and deal with it and clear it. And now I'm perfectly fine with it. I have my moments and then they go away. So it's going to come up for us all. I'm not special. I'm not unique. When I go through something, I know everyone else is going through it too. And that's the only way to look at it. But it's a great way to just learn to love yourself in spite of, as well as because of. Yeah. So let's talk. Last night there was a new moon in Aries. Okay. Or maybe it was the day before for some of us. Just depends where we live in the world. And here are the things I want you to keep in mind as we progress, because, okay, the Aquarian gate is open. The humanitarian, love of freedom, the genius, or the rebel, the anarchist, is popping up for all of us. Aquarians, though, are very funny. And this is one reason they're considered masculine. Aquarians are able to live with other people's emotions and have other people's emotion and be emotional and be with their problems and be with their sadness and grief and anger and frustration. And Aquarians won't carry it with them. They have a remarkable ability to listen to you, to hug you, and then walk out the door. And it's done. They're forgotten. So it's, by many people, Aquarians are considered aloof or callous or not interested. They don't weep and wail with the person. They be there with the person, or they may drive you batty with suggestions on how to fix it. But it's kind of fun to watch them in action. So if you know a person's Aquarius, you know that there's going to be a certain level of the impersonal where you may feel you never reach them or never quite there, but you're there and you love them and they love you and you know it, but it's not that warm, fuzzy, Charlie Brown blanket kind of love. Aquarians are too busy thinking about the big picture and how to be in great service and how to change things that will really help people to help themselves. So we got that backdrop, right? It's new times. Remember too, we have Pluto in Capricorn. In fact, it's there for the next couple of years. Is it on?
Mm-hmm.
It is? Okay. Is it on? Am I good?
Yes.
I'm good. Oh, I'm so glad Roxy's here. I am not a techie, as you know. So when we first started talking Pluto and Capricorn, it was the issues with authority and bringing up the deep, dark secrets of our authority institutions, our leaders. You know the scene. We've been living through it for just about 9 months now, particularly. Pluto in Capricorn, no, personal to you this month is you will have to look at any residual or remaining blocks, and by blocks I mean doubts and fears, to your claiming your power, to your taking back your power. Because most of us have given our power over to some authority, some expert. We do it when we go to the doctors, we do it, when we sit in church, we do it when we take the church with us and use it as our moral code. Um, we do it with the society's social rules and regulations, all of that. And Aquarius has no use for it. Aquarius has no use for rules. It bends them. It destroys them. Uranus is in charge of Aquarius. It's the rebel, it's the unconventional. But what Aquarius is doing is living according to its own metal, to its own truth. And this is what's being asked of you. So the Pluto in Capricorn is saying, where are you still not comfortable owning your power, being an authority in your own life, and doing what's true for you and speaking up for you? That's number one. Uh, Two is the age of Aquarius. And the third one is that Saturn Uranus conjunction, which, remember, Saturn is the traditional, the conventional, you know, the security, the foundations, and Uranus is the anarchist, upsetting security, foundations, leadership, all of that, conventions. So, except we live in chaotic times, we live in changing times. Uh, and we are doing this because we are between times. The old era, the Piscean age, is now dissolving, but it's not complete. We're in the Aquarian age, which is a new age, but it's not, it's in place, but it's still far out. We're not in it yet. You haven't consciously walked through the Aquarian gate. You haven't we all need to commit to the unconditional love, the humanitarian approach that Aquarian lives by. And that means you live by your truth. So Saturn and Uranus kicked up in January, and that's when we had all the rioting and stuff in DC. We have another Saturn Uranus coming up in June 14th. There is always upheaval because these two energies clash. It's the old versus the new. And so use April and use May to prepare in your mind which path are you going to take? Are you going to stay in what's safe and comfortable, Saturn, or are you going to risk and be uncomfortable and feel insecure at times by taking a new unknown direction? And the universe is going to leave it unknown. It's because fourth dimension, remember, is feminine power. It's not into results, it's into process. So you become engaged in the present and in the process of everything. So moving forward, I'm going as fast as I can, guys. Aries is ruled by Mars. So with a new moon in Aries and Mars the ruler saying action, you have got to start acting on. I know when I gave the overview in January, I said, get your popcorn, sit back, and watch the circus. Well, we've had 3 months of it, and it's spiraling madly downhill, and divisiveness is stronger and more alive than ever. And so this call is saying, now it's time for you to act. It's time for you to speak up, share your viewpoint, share your reasons, be yourself. It's time for you, if you want something new or different, whether it's in a relationship, a career, job, your health, whatever, it's time for you to start planning, start doing something about it. Now, with this new moon, it was rather exciting because Venus was sitting in conjunction with the new moon and with Mars. And Venus is what? Love. So the message to us with this new moon in Aries on Saturday and Sunday nights was, what you do, you must come from your heart. You must do it because you love doing it. You desire to do it. You are not allowed to follow the should routine anymore. unless, of course, you decide you love shirts, and then you can stay there. Okay, so Venus is there saying, come on, wear your heart on your sleeve in all that you do. If there's a prerequisite for success, it will be this. We must wear our heart on our sleeve. We must feel whole within ourselves. So if you come up with an idea, check in with your heart, check in with your body. Do I feel whole? How is my body responding to this? Is my heart saying yes or no? You know, I've given you all those techniques, and it's time to lead with the heart. Oh, it's exciting. So, what else? Well, let's see. Oh, I'm doing so good, guys. There'll be enough time. So we've got the sun in Aries, which is a very energetic, warm, enthusiastic energy. Uh, the sun in Aries also says, stay in the now. Don't jump forward. Don't go backwards. Stay in the now, okay? The moon in Aries, for the short time it was, is activating our emotions. And we're very lucky it wasn't a full moon, because full moons, emotions are explosive. New moons, we just are aware was there an emotional shift in you over the weekend or even now during this week? If you experience an emotional shift of any kind, you may feel more peaceful, more at home with yourself. You may feel more enthusiastic or energized about your life or a new project you've thought up. Pay attention to that. That came from that new moon in Aries, which is about the emotions, which inspires. And it can be fiery and passionate, or it can be lethargic. It can be intense, or it can be enthusiastic. It can be polarizing, or it can be fluid. Uh, it can be impulsive. So you want to watch it, because this impulsiveness is with us the whole month. So when you get an impulse for something, take a short breath, step back and say to your body, to your heart, is this what I really need to do? Okay, is this in my highest, best good and the highest and best good of all? I've talked about Venus in Aries, which is all action based in the heart and active during the process. Mercury in Aries means that you've got to communicate your ideas, your plans, your dreams. You've got to implement them. Now, Mercury in Aries is going to speed things up. So we'll be asking ourselves, where'd the month go again? It's a very fast pace. And you know what I say about this kind of speed up. It's about, you got to slow yourself within. Do not try to match that Mercury spinning around. Relax. Say, yep, I know you're there. Yep, you're in Aries. And slow down and relax and get yourself centered, get yourself anchored in you, not in the outside energy. The energy is so strong this month, you will lose and fragment more quickly. Oh, well, you'll fragment before you even know it. So deep breathe, lots of deep breaths this month, lots of time in nature, lots of time meditating, if that's your shtick, whatever works for you that slows you down internally. That's what I'd like to see you do and participate. That is self-care, self-nurturing. It is not goofing off, because so many of us are used to, conditioned to think a walk in nature or going to the beach or, doing yoga, that's all extra. That's frivolous playtime stuff. It's now become essential to your health and well-being. So what else have we got going? Sun, Moon, Venus, Mercury. Well, we have Ceres. Now, Ceres is one of those far out planets, and Ceres is harvest. It's Demeter, the mother figure, the carer, the nurture, but she represents in this case harvest time. So she's saying, nurture yourself, take care of yourself, put yourself first, be your truth. And if you aren't good at that, start practicing it. And if you are good at it, keep developing it, because then um, you will reap what you've sowed. If you take care of your health and body and your mind this month, the payoff will come down the road in proportion to the respect and love and self esteem you've lived in yourself. Then we have Chiron. Now, Chiron, you perhaps all know, is the wounded healer. Chiron keeps track of the wounds and what we need to heal. So, we got Chiron stirring the pot with all this direct, clear, wonderful energy we've been working with new ideas and new directions and new perceptions. Chiron's going to remind you of your wounds. I want you to acknowledge them, but here's the difference. Remember, this is new beginning, new approach. When it comes up, say, yes, that's true. It was there. I remember that. But Chiron is saying, start anchoring yourself in good memories, in the child, the teen, the early 20s. Remember the good, the fun stuff, the happy times. And I would suggest you take it one step even further. Sometime when you're on your own and have the time, make a list of your happy or happier memories, of the good things, the fun things you've experienced so far in life. I want you to write them down. This will stabilize the imprint and the new pattern of perception and approach, because what it will do is develop you walking into a situation and looking for the best, looking for the goodness of things. And I don't mean goodness in the sense of good, bad, right, wrong. It will just shift what you expect, your perspective. See the good, see the beauty, see the love that is present in your life. I had a remarkable experience a few weeks ago. Some of you know I traveled to Boston, and I have a great group of friends and clients in Cohasset. But several friends and I meet at this French coffee shop and kill ourselves on French pastries and good coffee. And we meet at 9 o'clock every morning, and it's just sort of girly time and fun. I love it. And one morning I walked in, and there was one of my friends, I'm going to call her Angel, all right, was there with her mother. Now, Angel has a dreadful relationship with her mother. They are still at crossfires. And I would say Angel is probably 65, 67, and her mother's probably 88. So this has been a long-standing feud, right? And of course, none of us know about feuds with our mothers, right? But Angel just can't can't reconcile. And she often talks to me about how her mother calls her Lulu instead of Angel, and how her mother never compliments her and never appreciates what she does, and never, 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 never. You got it? Well, I met her mother, and we were all chatting and having coffee, and her mother called her Angel 4 times. And her mother told me how much she appreciated Angel and how her life wouldn't work, that her daughter takes such good care of her. And now, maybe mom was in A plus performance, but mom came through, right? So mom left, and I was sitting talking, and I said, do you know your mother called you Angel 4 times? And she said, she did? I never heard it. I said, yeah, and she complimented. She really loves and appreciates what you do for her. She said, she did? I never heard it. That is my example to you of when we get locked into a belief we don't witness what's happening. We can only perceive what we believe is real. Now, that's the kind of experience I want you, if you have it this month, to acknowledge it and let it go. Okay? Because you don't want to get stuck in energy. Now, the last little culprit that we have to deal with. So we have Chiron and we have Eris, Eres. Eris is the sister to Mars. So she's the feminine warrior. She's the goddess of disruption and chaos. Okay, she stirs the pot, and it doesn't matter. She believes in truth. She believes in right and the good, the beautiful. That she's an idealist. She will go into battle even when she knows she can't win. Um, and she's poked her head up and said, "I'm here." So what is she doing in Aries is her job is to get you to resolve any issues you may have still. Bring them to peace. She will bring emotional disruption. And if that happens to you this month, stop, take a good look at it, journal it, process it, do whatever it takes to resolve that emotional issue, because it represents a core wound that's keeping you stuck. And Aries is saying, move on. You can't be stuck anymore. You've got to move, which means you can either move back into Saturn or you can move forward into Aquarius and Uranus. It's that important. It's that important that we do it. Time is running out on us. We can see the world is one huge mishigas. It's a mess. So we've got to stand up and be ourselves. So how are you going to handle any disruptions? What are you going to do about them? Do something, okay? You're your own best friend. You're your own best guide. You know yourself better than anyone else. Live it, love it, trust it, and go for it, okay? So you've got, just stay centered, stay grounded, stay anchored in your core, in who you know to be you, okay? That is not being stuck. Your center, your core is your starting point from where everything is sourced and where you move forward. So it is not being stuck. It's time for you to go forward for each of us. And we're all going into the unknown. We don't know what the next step is because nothing is in place yet for us. Believe in divine order. Believe in divine timing. Put your consciousness there. Put your trust there. And know, well, I don't have the answer today, so I guess I get to play. Relax. Enjoy. Because trust me, when things are revving up, and when you do come around and catch the gold ring on the merry-go-round, which says go, you won't have time to stop. So do your inner work now and make it play, make it fun. Moving forward, when you think about it, has always been an unknown. It's just that there's so much chaos and disruption and violence and just the disagreeable in life out there. It makes it tougher to want to go out there. But remember, you're taking yourself wherever you go. So stay within. That's what being anchored means. Stay within that love, trust, and respect you have for yourself, and you'll be safe. So it was really funny. I was listening to somebody channel tell me all this, and it says, if you don't know your next move, give yourself a break And what the break, though, when I was automatic writing was BRAKE, not BREAK. So give yourself a break. You've got to move forward, but you've got to get your act together. And remember, 9 in numerology integrates. It's a level of integration. You're creating and experiencing this, but it's what you take with you, a sense of wholeness, a sense of well-being that you need to create within yourself this month. And I hope you've gotten a lot of ideas from this, because I think Haniel is going to join us. Okay. Any more questions or comments coming in? Thank you. What about all the control around the vaccine? Okay. Yes, but the vaccine, for many people, depending on whether you're into germ theory or terrain theory, and for me, it comes back, which school are you in? If you're into germ theory, then it's going to be used, it's going to be weaponized, in my opinion, to control you, to control us all. No one will be exempt. And are you going to give your power over to it? Because are you going to get the vaccine because the authorities say it's good for you? My objection to the vaccine is it's experiential. It has not been tested properly. There is no data that can tell us anything definitive about the short or long-term effects. This is just a trial run. This is an experiment. But the authorities are going to use it so that they can change the game. They can change the financial structures, the economic structures, the social structures, human structure. So the new vaccines that do are really gene therapy. They change the genes. No one knows the effects of these, but we do know it diminishes the emotional being in you. Now, lots of people would say that's good because there's anger and hatred and doubt and fear. We need to get rid of it. No, we don't. Those are human experiences we need. What we need is to master them within ourselves, not put controls on the world and hope it all changes. So the control of the vaccines is, again, a choice you make. Which path? There's no right or wrong. That's what works for you. And how willing are you to follow the authoritarian guidelines, or how willing are you to follow your own personal guidelines? Because you know better than anyone else what your physical, mental, emotional condition is. And if you think someone else knows better, please think again. Okay? All right. Anything else? Do you think that was answered fully? You got it. 2 thumbs up, thumbs up. Oh, thank you, thank you. Okay. Boy, have I got to talk fast. All right. Hello, dear ones. Greetings, greetings. How are you all this evening? I hope you're feeling some joy bubbles. The reason we are focusing so much on the energy and the energies fields, yours and the universe, is that, as you already know, but it may not have really settled into your mind and in your heart, is human beings are now asked to operate in a new operational system. Deirdre calls it a new power code. We call it an operational system. The fourth dimension power code, and you've all gotten your sheets, and I know you know it by heart, but you know it is a consciousness of connection, of collaboration, of feeling whole and complete within yourself. And you see, that is a deep, deep, dramatic shift in the human consciousness, both individually and collectively. Because what you are coming to realize is the universe, you are part of the universe in your connection to God or source. And the universe is all in you because you are made or hold the image or the energy of God. So this is a entirely new belief that will turn everything in your world and is turning everything in your world upside down. You're operating or have been operating from a belief in limitation, that there are finite resources, limited resources. You will have been operating from a system that you are separate from God, that God is somewhere out here and you're somewhere down there. Nothing could be further from the truth, my dearest ones. You have not learned the true history of humankind. You have not been told it, you have not been taught it. And yet, in the past 15, 20 years, more and more research is being uncovered, is being published, that tells you what a splendid and sublime human history you have if you would just learn it and recognize it and accept it. You've inherited beliefs. You've been conditioned to beliefs that have all made you feel small. I'm not enough. And I'm here to say, I venture none of you out there in my audience tonight can say you feel limited and small. All of you, I really think, are being asked and being trying to sort out what you are being called to do next. What is your next move in being yourself and in being in service to the world, to the galaxy? Because you are universal and you must accept this and all its glory and honor and know it has always been an option for humans, except it hasn't been. You had to go through the third dimension and you had to be squashed into such a small shell of yourself that you finally have been called and motivated to activate and move out of that claustrophobic shell you've all been operating under and living with and sharing. It is part of the evolution of this planet. So I don't want any of you to waste your time on blame, shame, and judging. It is the process of evolving to find yourself and believe in yourself greater than you ever have been. The energies now out there are supporting your moving into this new paradigm of unity, of connection, collaboration, of trust, joy, and abundance, which creates an infinite consciousness within you and brings you all opportunities. Aren't you tired of all this razzle dazzle of war and disease and confrontation and trying to figure out who's who and what's what? It is mixed up now so that you will go into yourself and own all that you are and own your potential and own that spark of divinity that is creative and loving. I am not here, trust me, to be a project or entertain or present to you a picture of gloom and doom. I don't believe in it. I believe it's a choice. But I think what the world needs now is warmth and love and kindness and tolerance and loving kindness to all. And I would prefer to have you ground yourself in this new dynamic rather than the gloom and doom that so many people are projecting onto the stock market, to the medical field, to any aspect of your life. Please, they are naysayers. They are people who are afraid of the goodness in life, the abundance in life. And this is why your first step in wayfinding is to remember all the good and the plenty and the fun and the joy you've had in life. Make that your first step. Then what you are being called to do next becomes clearer. We cannot reach you if you're still inhabiting doubt, fear, lack mentality, being competitive, divisive, still wanting to see the differences in people and you and your best friend, and being competitive and outer directed and judging. We cannot reach you because the energy here on earth is now fourth dimensional, Aquarian. It's based in trust, love, and abundance. If you aren't there with us, my dears, we cannot and we do not have the time to break through to you. Step up and be willing to honor and celebrate who you are. And another way to do that, besides remembering your good experiences and love and happy and joyous experiences, is to look back at your history. Lemuria, Mu, Atlantis, the Aboriginal experiences, the Sumer, Egyptian, Persian, all these cultures were highly evolved, capable of great accomplishments and did accomplish great things. And your leadership, the elitists that you have followed so trustingly, let you feel we don't know the answers because this is the most evolved period in human history. It is not. It has the potential to be the most evolved, and hopefully the spiral will continue up. But if you do not embrace your greater potential, your higher self, your truth, the spiral will continue down and Earth cannot survive. So you do have a job in contributing to the beauty, to the well-being, to the experience here on earth by claiming your God self. And we ask you to do this. For instance, in Egypt, you are told that the Sphinx and the pyramids are 6,500 years old. Well, it doesn't register with all the new research and with all the new radar cameras that can go underground. And it doesn't jibe with the discovery of Göbekli Tepe in the southernmost part of Turkey that is 12,000 years old. You have been so close to God and the universal source in the ancient times that it was very easily for you to intuit because you are much more of a feeling society than you are now. And yes, there were visitors from other planets who came and showed you the way and guided, but for the most part, it was already in you. You instinctively knew it. You must not think disparagingly of these older cultures and civilizations that have vanished because that is the essence of life. It's change, it's growth, it's evolution. In Lemuria, it was a matriarchal, feminine society that evolved into Atlantis and a masculine culture in society. And both, as singular entities, failed on their own. But not because they were bad or worthless. It just was the process. They'd learned everything they could at that level, at that stage, and it was time to move on. So emissaries were sent out to Sumer, to Egypt, to Central and South America, to Asia, to maintain the sacred knowledge, to maintain the ancient wisdom of human potential and life. And we ask that in your second step of moving into fourth dimension, you study some aspect of the ancient teachings and culture and allow yourself to move into your true nature. So, what else can I offer you? Um, this month, I would ask you, along with everything else, I know you have nothing to do, right? Uh, there are three things you can do to take back your power. One is to, when you read or when you listen to the media, when you listen to opinions, because that's all it is, just as you are listening to my opinion now and my ladies earlier, it's opinion. And she and I and D5 are here to present you with new concepts, new ideas, and you are to take them and put them into your heart and see if your heart accepts it. Does it resonate for you? You accept it. If it doesn't, you reject it or you put it on the top shelf and take it out another day. We are here simply to give you options to expand. Expand your nature, expand your life experience, and thoroughly come away feeling fulfilled and joyous within yourself. Okay, so this is how you begin to move past. What you need to do is get a very clear picture of how you view reality, how you think about life. So write yourself a short paragraph, or maybe it will be a page or two, but get clear on your initial, your core attitude about living here on earth. Look at it, assess it, look at things you might want to change, keep things you don't, just no judging it, just say, does this work for me now? Or do I want to continue working with this attitude, this belief? Okay? That's all it is. There's no, right, wrong here. The second step you can take is how open am I? Am I too open? Do I believe everything someone says? Do I take the time to evaluate it, assess it, see if it resonates in your body? Remember, your body always tells you the truth. So assess what you believe and then remember the new definition of power. Okay? Now, in Lemurian times, if you go there, you'll read where power was about feeling good. The evolution at that time was all about feelings. It was a very emotional, feminine era where we got to learn about feelings. And if it felt good, then we did it. And if it didn't feel good, we rejected it. There wasn't any analysis because the masculine had not activated in this time frame. And so Lemuria was an era in human development that was, we would probably say, was just full of gaseous meta light creatures. Um, And after a while, the people there, and there were men and women there, wanted a denser experience. They wanted to experience their body more. And so through evolution, Atlantis came in. And Atlantis came in to heal and develop the masculine side as well as balance it with the feminine. Because the feminine does have a dark side, that egoic side, and it has to be all aligned to the universe or to the God or to source. Okay, so know that feelings are very important. I know I've heard Deirdre say the heart is the oldest organ. It has what, 1,000 times the electrical power and 5,000 times the magnetic power of the brain. The feminine was here first. So honor the feminine. Let that information, if it resonates for you, be your core base in honoring the feminine of you. Now, where was I? I did get sidetracked. Oh, does anyone remember where I was? No.
The new definition of power.
Oh, the definite. Thank you, Roxy. We have a lot to thank Roxy for tonight. So the power used to be feeling good with yourself.
It's pausing.
What?
It freezes at times. I'll tell you when to start.
What? Is it good?
You're frozen.
We froze?
Yeah.
How did we freeze? Is it still frozen?
Or maybe it's the battery. Keep going.
Okay. Is it okay? Okay, good. Phew. Oh, I'm so glad you turned up. I would be one mess now, truly off center with all this techie stuff. Then the definition of power evolved in during Atlantean times. For a short while, it was fear and control of the environment through fear and intimidation. And that's what the third dimension has really fostered and promoted. Control through fear and intimidation. Do you think we're still there? A lot of us are. A lot of us aren't. But now in the fourth dimension, here's where the fun begins. Fourth dimension is feeling good with yourself. Okay, definitely feminine, so that you manifest and contribute action. You take action from that place, that's masculine, on terms you're happy with. Happiness, joy is the integration of masculine and feminine. Got it? So I'll say it again. Power is now feeling good with yourself so that you manifest and contribute on terms you're happy with. That's what we've learned from Lemuria. It was about feeling. In Atlantis, it was the development of crystals and crystalline objects and the science and the technology. It's because of Atlantis we are where we are today with our technology. So, bravo to all of us, men and women, male and female, masculine and feminine. Just love it all, my dear ladies. Just love it all. What's the point of not loving it, of not just reveling in it? You have such a short time on earth, and you'll be back, that's for sure. But make the most of this time. Cherish these moments. Really see how you can implement and see why you must be feeling good with yourself, love yourself, so you do manifest for the care, well-being, and the highest and best good of all. So send out that warmth, send out that love and joy. Don't hold back anymore. So many people feel guilty that they're happy or they like their lives or they feel they shouldn't be when times are so terrible. and awful and we're sinking and it's not fair to be happy. That only promotes the third dimensional triggers of doubt, fear, and lack. And there's one other very important technique that I haven't mentioned, but I peek over Deirdre's shoulder a lot when she's working. And there are 3 questions that really I think will help you. I hope they will develop, shift gears more quickly, and move into the heart consciousness of 4th dimension. First question is, are you good enough? So you would say, am I good enough? Or is it the statement, I'm different, so I can't connect? And the third question or answer or statement is, I really, really want this. And I know it's not available and can't happen. If you have a yes to any of those questions, then that's what I ask you to focus on in the days ahead. And I also ask you to look at part of Deirdre's empowerment program that's sort of level 2 or 3. I'm not sure where she is with it. And there are 8 areas in your life that I want you to look at and decide which one you would like to focus on this month to raise your consciousness, to move you forward in a very easy, smooth way. Is it confidence, creativity? Is it prosperity? Is it career? Is it health? Is it joy? Where are you? What do you need to focus on to expand? Jupiter is aligned with Mars, so we're in a very good shape to get support from that expansion I'm asking of you. So think about it. Where would you like to just blossom? Think of yourself as a flower. You're all flowers to us, and let yourselves bloom. This is the month to really get clear and focused about what you're going to do in the world, what you're going to do for your highest and best good, and for everyone's highest and best good. Aquarius is humanitarian. It's not enough to be just yourself. Share it with us. Share it with us all. It will bring enormous joy and well-being to the universe. So I bless you. I wish the best for you. Keep smiling. Keep loving yourself. And be loving kindness to all. I'll see you soon. Any questions or comments? Or adjustments? What is the third thing to take care of your power is to redefine power. Okay, first is to get clear on who you really are and what the true nature of reality is. The second is to move into acceptance, receiving, allowing, receiving, and sharing in the world. Whatever your truth is, time for you to communicate it. Okay? Yeah. Does that cover it? Okay. We're back on track, I guess. It's as good as it gets. Okay. Well, that takes care of that. Okay, so we've got one more to listen to. So I'm going to talk fast because it's been an hour and a half, but I'm going to rationalize it by saying we've had technical difficulties. So I'm allowed a few more minutes. Okay. Thank you, Roxy. Of course, if Roxy hadn't been here, we would have been cut off and in the swamp. So that's enough of that. Okay. Now look, I want you to get clear. When she talks about clear, I love her, don't get me wrong, but she's so lovey-dovey, and I don't think you hear it. Do you hear it? I don't think so. I think you enjoy it and then move on to the next. Please listen. Stop giving your power over to the experts, to the authorities. Assess it all. I'm not saying you have to not agree with anything they say. I'm saying assess it, evaluate it, use your God-given mind. You've got a brain. Use it, for heaven's sake. You're in a time frame where the timing is so confusing, so chaotic, and it promotes you learning to stand up and walk on your own 2 feet. Now, stand up and don't think that means you're going to be alone and lost and lonely. That only comes from lack mentality. As long as you are connected within to that spark of divinity within you, you are in a co-creative force. You are a powerhouse of energy, of creativity and love, and you can create someone by your side. You can create a world stage. I don't know what you want. I don't really care. I just want you to get up and do it and live it and be it. Be your true self. Enough is enough, my dear friends. You give your power to the government, to the medical experts who are been corrupted, unfortunately, but it is part of the evolutionary process. It doesn't make them bad people. They are consumed with fear and self-doubt. So please respect that. Take what they say with a grain of salt and evaluate it. Does it resonate inside for you here? It's time to fish or cut bait, all right? And you fish and cut bait with yourself. What you're going through in your world, in this outside world, whether it's political, social, justice, medical, whatever it is, it's all so polarized now. It's all so divisive and competitive. You are lived in a highly material world where it's been about reason and logic and the intellect. Nothing wrong with that. It's just part of the story, and you know it. You know that there's that intuitive, imaginative, creative, playful part of you that you're blocking, you're editing out. So start activating it in small ways if you think the world will come crashing down on you. It's not going to, because this is your true nature, your creativity, your loving kindness, your joy. This is who you are. This is what the light represents. And yes, the light casts a shadow, but the shadow is not in the light. The shadow is outside the light. So it is not of you unless you make it of you. You cannot get COVID if you believe you are a co-creator with the universe and you do not want the experience of COVID. You will assess it, I agree, on many levels, conscious, subconscious, unconscious. You will be doing a lot of this in dream state. So your dreams will become very vivid and prophetic and active. You will get insights out of the blue as you're driving or walking. This is how we work with you. We have to throw it at you when you least expect it, when we can catch you off guard, when the old left brain is asleep. Please listen to us. Please, you do not need to destroy this planet just because you're stuck and wish to remain safe, secure, and comfortable. This is not what life is about. Think of yourself as an adventurer. Better still, think of yourself as a pioneer in the new world, because fourth dimension, Aquarian age, is the new world. It is the new universe. And you are in it. You signed up for it. If you signed up for it, you are capable of whatever is asked of you or whatever you ask of yourself. Forget all the dribble that you've been fed for the last 10,000 years. Push it aside. If you fear it, do it. The wisdom in that statement is when you do something you're afraid to do, in the doing, you lose the fear. Stay in the process. Don't go. We don't care about the result, people. That's you in third dimension, which is very result oriented because you're dependent on other people's opinions of whether it's a success or a failure for you to feel good with yourself. We don't care about that. We care about your being who you are and eliminating doubt and fear from your life, at least to the extent that it doesn't run you, it doesn't own you. You don't process everything in terms of self-doubt and fears and what if only, and yeah, but. Cool it, guys. You've had enough time. You have a glorious life. You've all had parts of your life that brought you great joy, that you felt great happiness. And yes, there were disappointments, but why do you have to bring them up? It only extends the life of the disappointment. It only diminishes your eternal, creative, loving energy. So enough's enough, my dear friends. Do you get it? You got it? Good. This is the end of all this gloom and doom and poor me and victimizing and isn't life hard and it's going to be hard to do this. It is only hard if you make it hard. If you are asked to change, if you are asked to do something you weren't expecting to be asked, accept it. Just say yes. Don't tell us it's going to be hard. You are making it hard. You will always experience some pain and disappointment on this earth planet. But suffering comes from your thinking, from your thoughts. You create the suffering of the pain. You can have as much suffering and pain as you like. We will be very sad for you, and we will send you lots of love and hope you recover soon. But I just as soon you didn't go there anymore. Just get strong and tough. And it's the biggest fear of all, that you can be happy here on earth. That is the greatest fear that all humans hold, along with death and dying. And we know death and dying is just a rebirth in a different dimension. So get over yourselves. You are not finite. You are living, breathing, light, love, joy, if you choose to live it and express it. It is your choice, and the choice is vital this month. We're in there rooting for you. We want you to embrace this new dynamic and see where it takes you and see where it takes your world. So give it some thought. And when I return next month, I hope to see many smiling faces and many happy voices and the joy of just being you, because that's what you came to do. You are gods and goddesses on this earth. You are day by day by day. Create heaven, create hell. We gave you free will. But I'm saying choose the unknown path, the heaven path. Time's up. Godspeed. And so it is. Oh my goodness. Was he on a tear or what? Anyway, I think that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. I know some of you are probably very restless, and I do apologize. Um, I probably didn't even cover half of what I thought I was going to cover, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Anyway, I want you all to take all this information with you, assess it, evaluate it, see what resonates for you, what applies to you, what you feel, where you're at, and what you can do and what you can't. If you want someone to talk to, I'm here. Or you've got a best friend who's into this, talk with like minded people. Talk with people you know are wanting or have moved into fourth dimension. Don't talk to the third dimension as much as you love them. You can love them, but please leave the talk. They don't get it yet. They will. Just be open, be yourself, and really enjoy the month ahead and deal with whatever stuff comes up. And I'll look forward to seeing you next month, same time, same station. And what you've been looking at is my new house. So I'm happy, especially if you're happy. So take care, and I love you all. Thanks for joining me. Bye bye.